Okay. Hello, everyone. Yeah, it's not moving. Oh, okay. Assalamu alaikum and good morning to all of you. Last month, a 13-year-old boy, Aysam Labib Nasir, was killed in the occupied West Bank when Zionist soldiers fired tear gas canisters at Aysam and his family. They had been harvesting olives in their village south of Nablus when they were attacked by settlers backed by military vehicles. Israeli settlers are attacking Palestinians daily across the occupied West Bank, protected and assisted by the military and the authorities. They are uprooting olive trees. They're throwing cement in the water wells. They're blocking roads. They're burning cars and they're invading homes. Last month alone, 2,350 attacks were carried out with impunity by these illegal settlers. Today we have with us Baha Hilo to discuss this ongoing cycle of settler terrorism and the efforts of Palestinian and foreign activists to protect the indigenous people and the olive trees. Baha is an educator and a humanitarian activist from Bethlehem, Palestine. Since 2013, he has been running an education initiative on life in Palestine called To Be There. He coordinates educational visits, including the annual olive harvest, olive planting, and Palestinian Land Day. Good morning, Baha.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Hashim Sani Center for Palestine Studies.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Olive trees of Palestine are pretty special compared to olive trees elsewhere.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about olive trees and their economic and cultural significance for Palestinian society?
Yeah. Well, to understand the destruction that we're witnessing that's carried out by the state of Israel and Palestine, we really need to understand, first of all, like the significance of the olive tree. Like in our culture, trees are not things. They are not uh, like we don't refer to a tree with the term it. We refer to it with the term she, because it's a living being. Because it's a provider of life, it's a carer of life. Many people think Palestinians are the custodians of the olive trees, while in fact the olive tree is the provider of life,
I see.
because it has been consistent over the past, like, uh, I would say 4,500 years, which is the oldest olive tree I know, which is planted near the town of Bethlehem. And 4,000 years of existence of this living being means that those olive trees have witnessed 19 of nearly 23 different civilizations that existed on the land of Palestine. We're talking about the times of the Canaanites, like those who hosted Abraham alayhi salam when he came to Jerusalem, and from Jerusalem went to the town of Hebron or Hebron, and so on. So we're talking, yeah,
The pyramids.
4,000, yeah, it precedes that a little bit. So imagine you have a tree that existed in that culture for 4,500 years. Naturally, because it continued to exist, it made its way into our religions, especially Abrahamic faiths. Like the first reference we know about olive trees is the signs that were given to Noah alayhi salam when a dove came back to his ark with an olive branch on its peak. And that's what we use as symbol for peace, because an olive tree with a dove with, yeah, it is safe, it's peaceful. From that point on, especially like in Jewish scripts, olive trees are viewed as sacred, where the destruction of an olive tree or an olive branch is described in Jewish scripts as the decapitation of somebody's arm. It's a very graphic description. But then in Christian and Islamic faith, it had like a different form of sacredness because it provides for the livelihood of human beings across generations.
So why are the settlers burning olive trees?
There is a lot to say about that.
Mm,
Um, the settlers are assistants of the Israeli government itself. Like since the genocide, the Israelis, whether in uniform or out of uniform, have carried out more than 38,000 attacks on Palestinians. A small minority of those attacks were carried out by the settlers. But
yeah.
like when we look at the settlers, we ignore the state violence. For example, there are no Israeli settlers in Gaza. How many olive trees did the state of Israel destroy in Gaza over the genocide? 2 years of genocide, nearly a million of the olive trees. Less than 4% of the agriculture and arable land in Gaza is left accessible, you know, let alone left, left good for agriculture. So like when you have Israeli settlers who see their government like gone full on destroying Palestinians' life, they want to help as well.
Mm,
In the occupied West Bank, uh, the state of Israel, as I said, carried out more than like 38,000 attacks. A minority of them are carried out by Israeli settlers. State of Israel murdered more than 1,030 Palestinians, nearly 1,037 Palestinians in the occupied West Bank. 33 were murdered by settlers. Neither soldiers nor settlers were arrested or held responsible for any of those murders. So I look at Israeli settler attacks within the context of Israeli state terrorism, and people who are like, see the state doing it, so why not to do it as well?
mm,
There is also an intention of the state of Israel to rob Palestinian families of their land and property. When you have olive trees on a land, then the only way to rob that land is by destroying the olive trees,
mm.
making the land look as abandoned. So the Israeli government comes in and confiscates the property of Palestinian families under the pretext of being abandoned land. Israeli many attacks being carried out against Palestinians in the city of Hebron. And like how many Israeli settlers do we have in the city of Hebron? We have like 800. And then it's always shown as like, yeah, there are 800 Israeli settlers protected by 2,500 soldiers.
It's getting worse
Because
lately, I think. I'm seeing a lot of it now every day.
the reporting is
I
becoming
see.
more and more visible. Because, when we want to distract Palestinians from the West Bank, we focus on Gaza.
Yeah.
When we want to distract like people from Gaza, we focus on the West Bank. But like, for example, this year there's more than 740 attacks that have been reported, but the year before there were like more than 600 attacks.
I see.
So we have Israeli media going on like warning, oh, there's increase of settler violence. Like 600 attacks is already like too many acts of terrorism being carried out by Israeli civilians. But like both Israeli soldiers and Israeli settlers, they know that there's nobody that will hold them responsible. So why not?
Have they always felt like this, or they were
Always.
much more controlled earlier?
Always, always.
Mm. We
The
just didn't hear much about it.
yeah, like Israeli settler terrorism. Like,
Yeah.
let's face it, the state of Israel was formed
Mm.
on settler terrorism.
Yeah.
Like we had nearly 350,000 immigrants who brought to Palestine under the pretext of wanting to feel safe away from anti-Semitism in Europe. 350,000 settlers, 70,000 of them were militants. Like what kind of immigrant population? Like here we have many refugees escaping like the violence and the savagery in Myanmar.
Yeah.
Imagine if 1/5 of the Myanmar like refugees in Malaysia were militants, you know? Like of course you will have a sense of rejection for like why are militants coming into
Yeah.
our society? What is their plan? So 70,000 of early Jewish settlers that were brought to Palestine or imported to Palestine ended up carrying out the first genocide against Palestinian families between 1947 and 1949,
Yeah.
you know, and they ended up like forming the state of Israel. So if you are out of uniform, you're a settler. If you are in uniform, you're a soldier. But whether you're a settler or a soldier, you are committing acts of terrorism against Palestinian families. Now, let's remember that the state of Israel is founded in Palestine on a myth that Palestine has been a land without people.
Yeah.
Now, when you say Palestine is a land without people, when you're away from Palestine, your confidence might be tricky. Like people might believe you. But when you come to Palestine and you say Palestine was a land without people, like Israelis sound like idiots. Yes, they succeeded in eliminating more than 66% of our families. Yes, they succeeded in destroying and depopulated our major cities. Yes, they succeeded in covering up more than 500 Palestinian villages and towns. But they still sound like racist idiots when they insist that Palestine was once a land without people.
Because if you look at
Because
those
the
reading
olive tree,
stuff as well, that they had tour guides saying visit Palestine
yeah,
in the
yeah, in the
1800s.
30s, not
Uh,
1930s,
yes,
you
so
know,
definitely there was something
but
there already. I mean, they're telling people to visit
an
and to
olive
see.
tree is the evidence
I
left of
see.
Palestinian existence because olive trees are not wild trees. Olive trees require human care to continue
Yes,
producing, and that's the
yes.
magic of the olive tree. If you abandon an olive tree for 5 years, it stops bearing fruit because it
Oh, okay.
senses
Yeah,
that nobody needs its fruits.
I see.
So you need to prune it, you need to irrigate it, you need to look after it, you need
Mm.
to harvest it year in, year out in order
Is
to
the 4,000-year-old tree still producing?
it's still producing. And it's
Amazing.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you taste its oil, like you're
Oh,
tasting an oil that is like very similar to what people tasted
I
4,500
see.
years
So it's
ago.
still owned by the like the
A
family.
family is still looking after it,
I see.
but a family passes it on to another family, passes it on to another family. They also, the olive tree itself helps you understand like acts of selflessness in Palestinian culture
Yeah.
because we don't plant olive trees for ourselves. The Greeks actually had a very beautiful proverb that made it into Arabic. It says like uh, a society grows strong when old men plant trees under which shade they will never sit.
Yes.
So in Arabic we say زرعوا فأكلنا نزرع فيأكلون. They planted so we eat. We plant so they shall eat. Who are the hands that planted? We don't know those hands, but we honor them
Yeah.
by maintaining the trees that they planted, which also help us provide for our nutrition. We plant, so they shall. Who are they that will end up eating of the trees that we plant today? We don't know their names.
Yeah.
Like Palestinian culture is a culture of 5 generations. I might know my great grandfather by name, but I know my grandfather, I know my father, I know myself, my children, and my grandchildren. These are 5 generations that I'm
I see.
connected
Yeah.
with. So, like, an olive tree connects those five
Yeah.
generations together.
I see.
So, you have a human connection within the family. So, when you destroy an olive tree, you're destroying family legacy. Like, the olive tree was, I inherited this olive tree from many generations of my family, and I'm left with nothing to pass on to my grandchildren.
Now, when you see the photos of people clinging on to the olive trees and crying, it's
Because you
something that, yeah,
understand, like,
yes.
I've worked with a lot of Palestinian families that saw their 1,000 years old or 2,000 years old trees being destroyed. I
Mm,
worked with like young and old,
mm,
and the graphic descriptions when they are asked about their feelings,
yeah.
it's like murder. Like a farmer like used a graphic description saying it's like ripping my heart from within my lungs.
So sad. Yeah.
He was like, I would tolerate death of one of my children because he compared that like
Mm,
to a child. One of his children died and he had to bury a child. But like, I have a child, I can't have another one if I
mm,
get married. I can't have another child. But like, how can you replace a 400 years old olive tree now?
yeah.
When we plant olive trees, is one of the things we do. We remind people that we don't plant olive trees to replace the million that were destroyed or the 10,000 olive trees on average we lose on the occupied West Bank because of Israeli settlers every year. We plant it now. So in 1,000 years, it would be replaced. So we don't fool ourselves in trying to underestimate the destruction that is brought upon Palestine and Palestinians by the savage regime
Yeah.
that really has no respect whatsoever for anything that is
It just
Palestinian.
shows you they don't belong to the land if they don't respect
No,
the
no,
what
like
is on
they,
the land, right?
but, but that is the concept of a settler mindset.
Yes, yes.
A settler mindset views indigenous land as a commodity, as a
Mm,
thing. An indigenous mindset views land as the value of life. You call it mother land.
mhm.
It's the
Yeah,
land that you came from and you will go back to. It's made of your ancestors. It's the land breathes, you know?
yeah.
Many people like, especially like foreigners, that think of olive trees from an economic point of view or as a commodity. They actually think Palestinians are the custodians of the trees. But we understand that we're not
Yeah,
the
yeah,
custodian. Like the tree looks after us. The
yeah,
tree provides us with life. The land provides us with life.
yeah.
Palestinian refers to like when a Palestinian refers to the ethnic cleansing of Palestine, we naturally say we were uprooted from our homes because that shows you the pain.
Mm,
Like sometimes when you want to describe the atrocity that you survived, you use the most painful description.
yes. They're
So
rooted
when
in
you
the land,
say
uprooted.
uprooted from
Yeah,
our homes, shows you that uprooting a tree is one of the most painful things you can cause
yes.
to an indigenous
So imagine how
human.
much they feel when they see that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
terrible.
So
I
like,
yeah, I have a friend in Gaza,
yeah,
and during this genocide, she was thinking about her land. She had a small piece of land away from her home where she planted olive
yeah,
trees. And so when there was a ceasefire, she actually went
yeah,
back to look for
yeah.
it. Yeah, to check on it. And she was very happy that there were a few, it was
You,
still
yeah,
good, yes. And she
because
was like harvesting the
believe it
olives.
or not, like our steadfastness is also coming from olive trees because olive trees cannot be killed unless you uproot them.
Oh,
Even when you see them being burnt,
yeah,
because the root of the olive tree is very persistent. It
yeah.
cannot, like, you can't kill it, you
Mhm.
know? And also, like, the signs of life, you know?
Yeah.
The sign of life means that Israel failed in eliminating life.
So that's why you say that olive trees have become a political symbol.
Olive trees
Yeah.
have become a political
In fact,
system
everything when
because,
people do graphic arts is,
yeah,
they do that. They always put the olive tree or
yeah,
something on
olive trees have
as a sign of
become,
resistance.
yeah, have
Yeah.
become a political symbol because also, like, every aspect of our life is politicized now.
Hmm.
Like, Palestinian children are politicized.
Yeah.
Um,
I
like,
went to a Palestinian school last time and they were singing Mautini,
Maltani,
homeland, right?
yeah,
Ibrahim Tukan.
Ibrahim Tukan, yeah.
Yeah.
Ibrahim
So,
Tukan in his poetry speaks about olive trees, but the
yeah.
one who spoke about olive trees more than anybody else is Mahmoud Darwish.
Yes, yes.
Mahmoud Darwish is
He
the
said what
what?
one he said about olive trees would like tears, the oil would be
Yeah.
tears, right? Yeah.
He says like
Yes.
لو يعرف الزيتون
Yeah.
غارسه لصار الزيت دمعة. Yeah. So like which means if the olives knew the hands that planted them, its oil would have become tears,
Yes.
you know? Um, because like what is happening to the hands that have planted you today?
Mm.
You know, the hands that are planting olive trees today are hands of people who cannot give up,
So I
you
have a
know?
friend who went to look for her trees
Yeah,
during the genocide.
yeah. And
Yeah.
like just the feeling she describes about just seeing two, three olives.
Yes.
You know how many olives you need in order to just make 1 liter of oil?
Ah, I don't know.
You need 2 kilos,
I see.
which is like 500 or 600 olives, you
Oh,
know?
wow.
So like every olive will provide you with 4 or 5 drops. So when she sees 4 or 5 drops, it means ah, the powers that are set up to eliminate us have failed, you know? Um,
Mm.
it's like a description of peace, like there's they describe like in one of the stories I read once. Like a king was like, yeah, he wanted artists to plan to draw peace, and one of the artists like he drew images of destruction and a flower sprouting from the distance, and that is peace. You see, like peace means like, oh, there is stability of destruction. Nobody is busy murdering anybody anymore, which gives an opportunity for life to come back.
Yeah.
But like we have not been given an opportunity to rebuild our lives in Palestine over the past 77 years because the point is our complete elimination.
Yes, I mean, Israel is bent on destroying olive trees
Yeah,
as a way to ethnically cleanse the
there is an
Palestinians as well.
Israeli inspector
Mhm.
who actually like showed you Israel's obsession with destruction of olive trees as well as obsession with murder of Palestinian children. His name, whatever, let him be nameless, but he was mentioned in some of the interviews that I read. He said, like their children, their trees look so naive as if they can't harm anybody. But like their children, several years later, they become a ticking bomb.
Um,
So murdering a Palestinian child is detonating a bomb. Eliminating an olive tree is like detonating a bomb. So, like, what is it that an olive tree will blow away?
mhm.
It will blow away the claim that Palestine was once a land without people. What would a Palestinian child blow away? We will blow away the Israeli myth that Palestinians never existed or there is no such a thing as Palestinians. What they insist is like they know that their domination of the land of Palestine will always face a problem, which is the very existence of the Palestinian people. The Israeli criminals and defenders of Israeli criminals always claim that the state of Israel and Palestine suffers from a demographic threat.
Yeah.
So, how is that demographic threat represented? By the existence of Palestinians on the land of Palestine and by the existence of olive trees on the land of Palestine, you know? So, like, they go on with all this savagery because they are obsessed with the elimination of Palestine and the Palestinians from that land.
Imagine so much hatred and destruction. But
Yeah,
it's not going to last because, you can't
yeah.
keep doing this forever.
What do we learn from
Yeah.
19 civilizations that
Yes.
olive trees witnessed?
Yeah.
We know that oppression is not sustainable
Yes.
because many of the 19 civilizations, and I'm talking about Islamic rule to be just one, even though like Islamic civilization is very diverse. The difference between Islamic civilization and other civilizations, like pagan civilizations, that those civilizations collapse and never were never revived. But every time an Islamic civilization falls into corruption, moral corruption, economic corruption, it collapses. But then when people go back to the virtues of Islam, that like civilization goes back up. Well, let's say Islamic civilization is one, but like many of the corrupt and oppressive civilizations collapsed because they were corrupt, just
Yeah.
like the state of Israel is corrupt, morally corrupt, ethically corrupt, economically corrupt. So we know that oppression is not sustainable in the land of Palestine because we know our history,
Yes.
you know?
So
Like the
interesting.
savagery, yeah, the savagery they show is savagery we know in our history. Like we had white people coming from Europe claiming Palestine to be theirs. They called themselves the Crusaders.
Oh, yeah.
They stole a symbol, a sacred symbol from the land of Palestine because Isa alayhi salam was born in Palestine. Christianity started in Palestine. So they stole that symbol of Christianity, painted it on their shields, and came and murdered hundreds of thousands of Palestinians in the land of Palestine. Where are they? Where's their savagery?
Yeah.
They left a bad story, but evidence that they have failed. The يعني Dawood alayhi salam was born in the same town where Isa alayhi salam was born, which is the city of Bethlehem.
That's, yeah.
So like they stole the sacred symbol of Dawood alayhi salam and his shield, you know, and put it on their flag. You know, the Star of David is like the shield
Mm.
of David. So they stole something from Palestine and they're hiding behind it and using it to eliminate the people of Palestine, exactly like what the Crusaders have done. So where do you think like those people are going to go?
Yeah.
To the exact same, you know, place where Crusaders have gone. Palestine has the power of really assimilating everything, assimilating pain and assimilating joy. That's why, like, that's the only way that helps you understand, like, why we can never be defeated. It
Yes.
doesn't matter. Like, imagine the state of Israel used more than 140 like thousand tons of the state of Israel used an average of 60 kilograms of TNT per person in Gaza.
Yes.
You know, that's
That's
the
right.
equivalent of, I don't know, like five, six, or eight nuclear bombs. You know, 60 kilograms of TNT per person. And still, like, they have failed in,
And they're still there. The
yeah,
guns are still there. Yeah.
like Palestine, like,
Yeah.
one thing I know is like, it's impossible to get rid of Palestinians. We are a never eliminated, like, population. And alhamdulillah, like, we learn from our best.
But what do you have to endure in the meantime? Just incredible
I think
suffering.
it's either we are lucky or unlucky to be the survivors of Israeli criminal behavior.
Yeah.
But like we know that things happen for a reason, known only by the divine, you know?
Mm.
And I can say like the thing that help us survive is our complete trust in the divine, you know?
I think
Something
so.
that is,
I think so. I can't
yeah,
think of another kind of people who would have survived this.
like, you know, we have stories about like Jewish people who survived or did not survive the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Like there was somebody who braved a sentencing, like if there was a God, he will have to beg for my forgiveness.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Yeah, because they don't
we
have the
would
same
never
God.
say
No,
that. No, we will never
no.
say that.
Yeah.
It's like we say, like, you created them, you wanted them back, take them back. You
And
know,
also the
خذ
ultimate.
حتى ترضى.
Yeah.
That's what we say. You know, we know there's no justice
Yes.
on this earth. We know the divine is just. So,
It's something that can't be defeated. That faith that's so strong that you think that, you kill me, but there's a better life for me in the next. So, both ways, you don't
um,
lose. You don't lose. You stay in your
they,
land or you go
or
to a
you
better place.
you
Yeah.
go back to exactly
Yeah.
because
Mm.
like it's a win-win
Yes.
situation,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
But like, of course, like criminals do not understand that
Yes.
mindset. Like they think like we're a death cult. Like they have no understanding about like how it was our faith that kept us surviving, you know. And it will continue. It will continue. Like,
There's also a soldier, I remember he was like so upset. He kept dreaming about the people he had killed in Gaza, and he said,
can you imagine
yeah, he expects some
Israeli soul?
reward for it because he had done what he was supposed
But
to do. He
think
thinks,
about it.
yeah,
Israeli soldiers are killing themselves.
yeah,
Like like with all this, you receive 60 kilograms of TNT per person,
mm,
and you know that you are not going to kill yourself. You are not allowed to kill yourself. And you see the rapists, the criminals, the
yeah,
murderers, like an Israeli persecutor. She filmed like a gang of Israeli rapists, and she was proud of it. She leaked the video just like everybody is celebrating those Israeli rapists in Israel. And then when she was being persecuted, she tried to kill herself twice.
mm,
Like when did you hear about a Palestinian willing to kill himself because of
yeah.
Israel? Like we have Palestinians who are willing to sacrifice
That's right. It's
their
different.
lives for the freedom of their family and the freedom of their people.
Mm.
But self-sacrifice, which is the most noble way of rejecting oppression, is not like killing yourself,
No,
you
no.
know?
So you see,
Like it's not
yeah.
suicide. But that's the difference between the indigenous and the settler. That's the difference between an undefeated population and,
So you've been
and
running all these tours to bring
yeah,
people to see the harvest. You do that
yeah.
every year.
Since the genocide, it had become like really dangerous.
I see. Yeah.
So before the genocide, in the occupied West Bank, we are subject to Israeli military rule.
Hmm.
Foreigners that come to Palestine, they are subject to Israeli civil rule. So we just to play on the difference,
Yeah.
you know. So you have Israeli soldiers showing up on the field, but they know that those foreigners are subject to the civil law. So like they get confused because like it's very difficult to maintain Israel's apartheid in the soldiers' mind. So by default, like the foreigners would provide some kind of protective presence for Palestinian
Yes.
families to do their harvest, but also olive harvest is requires a lot of work, manual labor and so on.
Yes.
Um, but like over since the genocide started, like Israeli settlers and soldiers would criminalize anybody. Like they murdered many international activists. The
I see though that a lot of now, not a lot, I mean, but some Israeli Jews, for instance, would now join in the
Yeah,
harvest to help.
Some Israelis like which are very small minority,
Yeah.
but like it's not like enough, you
Yes.
know. Uh, the issue with international visitors, like one of our like local organizations, the Union of Agriculture Work Committee, has invited nearly 100 volunteers. Many of them made it through. And on one field, the Israelis like rounded up 32 volunteers, arrested them, and deported them.
Oh,
So,
I see.
like anybody that is coming for the protection, for the safety, for the support of Palestinian survivors of Israeli savagery and Israeli criminal behavior is being punished. Like,
Mm.
what has been happening with the flotillas? Like, you have
Mm.
humanitarian aid going towards like survivors of genocide.
But at least there's visibility now. We're seeing a lot more of that.
Alhamdulillah,
Yeah.
alhamdulillah. Like, you can
Yeah.
never hide oppression forever.
Yes.
And now Israeli tricks, like supporters, defenders, and beneficiaries
Yeah.
of Israeli criminal behavior are being exposed right, left, and center for what they are
Yes.
supporters, defenders, and beneficiaries of criminal behavior.
So what else can we do
What
than
we can do,
visiting the?
keep the story going. We can help in different ways of planting olive trees.
Hmm.
Yes, the Israelis have destroyed nearly 1 million olive trees in Gaza. They destroyed more than 9,700 olive trees up until the end of October. Uh, yes, they have done that, but like we can always continue to do the same thing,
Yeah.
like plan, because once again, you empower Palestinian society.
Yeah. And yeah.
Yeah, buy Palestinian olive oil. Like our surplus is amazing, you know?
And here we have Palestinian olive oil.
This is
A student
of today.
gave it to me.
Oh,
It's not even labeled. I think it must be.
because family
It's a family.
produce.
Yeah.
It's a
Yes.
family
It's
produce.
from Nablus.
Them, oh my God,
Yeah.
this
Yes.
is the olive trees and Nablus are from the Samaritan era.
Really,
Yeah,
mashallah.
yeah, like the
Yes.
Samaritan era. The Samaritans are the early Hebrews, you
I
know?
see. Yes.
And we still have a Samaritan community that speaks almost the same accent as Musa alayhi salam.
Really,
Yeah,
mashallah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's a very small minority. But when you go to Nablus and the hills of Nablus, you see olive trees that are about 3,000 years old, 2,500 years old. There's a beautiful thing about Nablus related to their olive oil. 1,000 years ago, by coincidence, somebody wanted to boil alkyl acid in olive oil. And that was
Oh,
the invention of the first soap on the planet.
olive
Like
oil.
olive oil soap is the first kind of soap that was
I
invented
still use
on the
that.
planet. Yeah, it's a beautiful. It's a mixture of alkyl acid and olive oil.
Yes.
Um, olive like the economic impact of the olive trees is also like beyond calculation. You know, like an olive tree produces like an average of uh, let's say an average of 3 liters of olive oil.
1 tree?
Yeah, 1 tree.
So this would just be like,
This is a third of a tree.
wow,
Yeah,
you need
if
to have
it's
a
a
lot of
liter.
trees.
Of course, but like olive trees are to provide for the family. Like we don't do it for economic reasons.
Yeah.
We don't have olive farmers. What
Oh,
we
okay.
have families that own olive trees, so they consume their needs and they sell the surplus. So what you got is probably the surplus from that family. So,
Let's see.
but it's not like you sell your family's needs.
Yeah.
No, you sell the surplus.
But when you buy, like, I guess one way to support
Yeah,
the Palestinians, but also to buy Palestinian olive oil.
yeah. Like because when you buy the olive oil, like you support those families
Yeah.
to survive throughout the year. When you destroy the olive tree, then that family will have to buy oil somewhere else.
Let's see. Yeah.
And olive oil is the healthiest oil. So like, why would anybody want to get like poisonous vegetable oil? You know?
Yeah.
So when you destroy the olive tree, you destroy health, you destroy income, you destroy existence. So nearly 60% of our arable land uh, is around is covered with olive trees for a reason.
So many families are now having problems harvesting the olive
Not
trees.
being, yeah, not being
Yeah.
allowed access, not being safe. Like many of the families we used to help over the past like 20 plus years. Um, like I check on those families every
Mhm.
year. Like all of them are unable to get to their land.
What
All
happens if
of
you
them.
don't harvest the olives?
Uh, yeah,
It
like
just
within
falls off by
five
itself.
years, yeah, it will fall
Yeah.
off. But like also looking after the olive trees, also looking after the land around it.
Yes.
We have 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Palestine is green in winter, golden in summer, and a lot of wheat grows. So, like, if you leave the land around the olive tree unattended, not plowed 4 times a year,
Mm.
then it becomes really bad. So the land becomes bad. The olives themselves like become unattended or bad, and within 5 years, like no tree will like abandon an olive tree for 5 years. It will become dry,
Oh, I
and
see. Can
it
it be
o-
revived?
it can be revived.
Mm.
Like one of the projects I worked on back home was like revive 5 olive trees that were burnt by Israeli soldiers. Uh,
So when they burn them, you cut them and help them to grow again?
they they reshoot themselves,
Uh,
but they were like in really bad conditions.
mm,
So I got introduced to those olive trees in April, and by like before the blooming season. And in October, like we harvested up to 14 liters of
yeah,
oil
that's
from
good.
them. It's just magical. What you need is just to be allowed to look after your trees.
What an amazing tree.
Yeah, it is magical.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
I can speak for hours about there because
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
it's a magical one. So what we can do, we can always keep the story if we have access to olive oil, even though if it's like because Palestinian olive oil is very expensive
Mm.
compared to olive oil from countries that are not occupied
Yes.
by the state of
Like
Israel or
Spain. And
destroyed by the
yes.
state of Israel.
Yes.
Because the state of Israel denies us access to outside market. So the majority of uh, the cash you pay for olive oil from Palestine is to cover the shipping costs, you
Yes.
know? Uh, so like it doesn't matter how expensive it is, like if you have the ability to
I think it's also a symbolic thing. It's like, doing
it's
BDS, you just
it's symbolic,
continue
it's
to support
also
Palestine by buying
materialistic
olive oil.
supporter,
Yes.
and also it's healthy. It is
Yeah.
the healthiest like kind of olive oil,
Yes.
But yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Anyway, so thank you so much for this conversation. And I think a lot of us were just like we were distracted by Gaza, but rightly so. The
Yeah,
situation is still very bad,
yeah,
especially now with the
yeah,
deluge of winter. It's just terrible now in Gaza, and but it's also important to know about what happens on
yeah,
the other side, and not
yeah,
let that be a distraction to this ongoing settler colonialism and I know that they are going all out now, and nobody seems to be stopping all these settlements as well. So
Yeah.
we just need to know the whole picture.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah.
Um, well,
Any last
this is
words?
about we use Israel's destruction of our life as an opportunity to express rejection against it, continue to, like, they do their job destroying our lives, and we do our job empowering ourselves in their face
Yes.
until they face their inevitable collapse, inshallah.
Inshallah, very soon.